Welcome again to Boomer Bongo Boulevard. I'm Mike, just Mike. Along with me is my brother, my bro, Ron. I'm so sorry I said bro. Ron, but it slipped out. And
Well, that's better
hey,
than bruh.
look, don't interrupt me. I'm doing something important here. You gotta hit that like button, or you gotta subscribe or do something because, like I said, apparently it's important. That's what we've heard, and we're working on. And we work real hard. Do we work real hard on this? I would say we kind of work hard on it,
Yeah,
right?
sometimes it
We
depends on
give it some we give it some thought at least occasionally.
Well, we built up a lot of experience, and that took a lot of work
We
on some
certainly
of them. So,
we're willing. We're willing to do things. And I'm here. No hat. I'm sorry I don't have a hat today because I forgot to grab my hat. I was doing an errand for my daughter and Ron and I needed to do something. I needed to go get gas for her convertible, which is actually the convertible we gave her. And I just had to. I can't wear a hat when I'm in that convertible. I got to
yeah.
let the wind blow through my hair. So now I've got that convertible hair, and she's got a full tank of gas, and she's gone as soon as I got home. She's in the car and gone again. So she'll have convertible hair, I guess. But we're doing an interesting topic tonight for Boomer Bongo Boulevard. We're doing tools, and we're supposed to pick four and show the tool and explain why it's important or why we like it, and anything else we want to say about it. And
Yeah.
start with you, Ron. What's your first tool?
Well, probably the one I use, one of the two I use the most, and it's a small tool, but pretty cool tool. It's my screwdriver that changes it where I can change the heads out on it,
Oh yeah,
because I got all these heads, see right here.
Phillips head.
Yeah, different stuff, star wrench, a couple of, one of the like more popular sizes for an Allen wrench. I got three different Phillips heads and flathead and all that, and that comes in really handy because you've always got the right one, and it's also a ratchet.
Oh yeah, I don't
Yeah,
have a ratcheting
yeah.
screwdriver. I break all mine.
Which it goes both directions. So, well, anyway, that use one as much as I do, it's a real good thing for me because it keeps me from hurting my wrist.
Sure.
Wringing my wrist off because all you do is, and very versatile. Use it for a lot of stuff. Takes a good beating and, keeps coming back for more all the time. You can get all kind of different ones. I have a couple of different ones, but I like this one because of the fact that, like the ones that, where they just kind of go into the tip, they tend to come out, fall out, and you lose
Right.
them. But you don't lose these. It's a lot stronger to me.
Yeah.
That's why I picked this type.
What would you say cost-wise for that?
I think it was about $20, maybe.
20 bucks.
$20, yeah.
I was going to say for anybody that doesn't have tools that happens upon this particular episode, that's not a bad place to start. A good multiple-headed, I don't know, what would you call it? I mean, it's a ratcheting screwdriver. It doesn't even have to be a ratcheting screwdriver,
Yeah.
but a screwdriver body that you can snap multiple heads into. And there's quite a few sets if you go into a Walmart or any place that sells tools, really. Home Depot.
Got 12 different heads.
Yeah, and you can pop different sizes in there
Yeah.
for most of your screwing needs around the house. Around the house. All right. Oh man, I'm in a mood today.
Doesn't include batteries either.
It sure does, and you can transfer those things. Hey, by the way, I've got my driving sunglasses on too. I've decided, Ron, that the secret to life is prescription sunglasses, which these are. And these I just got in. They're super dark, and I've got I've got my lighter ones that I wear a lot and I like.
Yeah.
But I had the dark ones on today because I was trying them out. It was the inaugural run plus and talk about it too. Sunglasses are too.
Yes.
But this
I don't wear prescription glasses, but I do wear reading glasses.
Yeah.
And don't always have to do that, but
yeah, my eyes
but I also have some shades that have a little,
yeah,
the type reading glasses I use at the bottom so I can use my phone better.
They help.
Yeah, they do.
All right, here's my tool. First tool,
Okay.
a bungee, a simple bungee.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, they don't all just come this size. This has small metal hooks on the end. You can probably see, and it's about maybe 10 inches, 8 inches long, stretchy. and you can use these for so many things. You really, if you're kind of looking for something that's going to help you around the house and you don't want to spend a lot of money, get a variety of bungees. Of course, you have the big ones that I've got one that's maybe 8 or 10 feet long, and I use it in the bed of my truck to strap things
Yeah,
down.
because you got hooks and stuff in your
Oh
truck
yeah,
too. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And but the thing, what this is good for, I'll tell you, this is exactly where I got this one. I went and took it off a hook. I have a little. We have, like a lot of people, we have a little set of hooks next to the door for our car keys.
Yeah.
And if you get an extra key that you want to keep there, and you've run out of hooks, and you don't want to have to hang one key over another key, which I think is kind of sloppy. When you take your key off, you a lot of times drop the other key, or you have to take one key off, get that. It's just messy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to keep it simpler, you can just hang this small one. I've got this hanging over one of the hooks, and it extends and gives me a little hook down at the bottom, hanging down in a real obvious place for an extra key that we have there, that we added that we didn't have when we originally put the little set of hooks up. And so it's great for that. And this is another thing that this particular one's really good for if you're working on your car or really working on anything that has wiring or hoses. You can take this and put it around one of the wires that might be in your way, and just kind of pull it out of the way and hook it somewhere else, and it just permanently keeps it out of your way. And even if you forget and leave it on there, it doesn't hurt anything.
Yeah.
And but boy, the key to working on things I found is to get comfortable yourself and get to where things are out of your way, where you can get to things, where it's easy to reach what you're doing. And that's why I like a bungee. And I just, really, really, really good, cheap thing to have, and to remember that you have, and to remember where they are when you have them. This is the kind of thing that goes in a junk drawer, but larger bungees are handy too. Might not think of them as a tool, but they are.
Yep.
You're up. What's your next tool?
All right. Now, this is one that I got it for working in the dark, obviously, but it's handy for a lot of things. Now, there's cheaper versions of this, but mine's not cheap because I needed a good one. But one of my favorites, my headlamp.
Yep.
Whoa!
I'm blind. Stop. Thought I went blind.
See this one; it moves real good, and I got it for like working on wiring because you got to cut the light, cut power.
Sure.
So you're in the dark. Kind of hard to change a breaker in the dark. So that comes in handy. But I ended up using it for a lot of other stuff too. I would use it when I'm trying to find a water leak, because you can't always see real well under your cabinets or something like that in the sink. And instead of having to hold the light, that frees you up to be able to find it, because it's looking right where you're looking.
Well, I have one of those as well. I don't use it as much as I did when I first got it, only because I got a smaller flashlight free. I forgot where it came from. It was included with something else that didn't really have anything to do with flashlights, but it was a little rechargeable flashlight, and it's
this
really
is rechargeable. You can see on the back. It plugs in and charges just like a phone, or anything else.
Well, it saves you having to look for batteries later on too.
Exactly.
But I started using that small flashlight, and it sounds kind of unsanitary, but I find it's handier just to put the small flashlight. It's not tiny. I'm not going to swallow it accidentally in my mouth, and just hold it in my mouth while I'm working on whatever it is I'm working on.
Well, I have a cool one that's got a magnet on it too, which is pretty handy.
Well, cool, super cool.
Flashlight with a magnet is always handy.
Well, those are great gifts for kids. Kids love those.
Mm-hmm.
Kids love those. Love to strap it on their head and play all kinds of games. Kids can come up with all kinds of games, so they're good at it. Of course, now if you get the kids using it, then when you're ready to use it, they've run the battery down. But that's part.
I even use this in the house sometimes. Like, say I'm looking for some music, going through my vinyl or my CDs or something.
Oh yeah, sure.
You can't always see down, and I'll get I'll pop my light on and sit down on the stool and go through.
Frees up your hands, but because handling record albums is a two-handed job anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm ready. You ready for my next tool?
and it's great for working on cars, especially
Oh
too.
yeah, yeah. Well, like I
Yeah,
said, I use that little small
yeah,
flashlight for the same thing. But the key is you're using the headlamp. I'm putting a flashlight in my mouth,
yeah,
but is to have both hands free, and that was the
hmm
key to the bungee. The bungee
yeah,
helps you keep a hand free. You're not constantly
hmm
having to brush something out of the way or hold it for a second
yeah,
or anything. You just bungee it up out of the way, and it's incredibly handy when you're doing work to be able to get everything you're not working on out of the way. All
yeah.
right, my next tool. You ready for it?
Sure.
You're gonna like this one.
All right.
Rubber hammer.
Oh yeah, I got two of those.
Yeah, this is my third one, and because there is one rule of rubber hammers that everybody needs to be aware of, you almost can't ever find one when you need one. You got it somewhere where you can find it, but it's the kind of place that you find it when you don't need it. And they don't make a lot of noise. So when
Yeah.
you're rustling around, you can't hear it banging against the bottom of the toolbox or anything. But a rubber hammer is very handy. Fortunately, everybody probably ought to have 3 or 4 of them just so you can find them. But fortunately, they're cheap. This one was, I think this was $4 or something.
Yeah.
And they're great for any hammering needs that you have where you don't want to dent anything or hurt it too bad. Like you've got a piece of furniture that needs to be tightened up and the parts kind of bang together. You can just take this and bang it onto the end of the furniture and drive a leg piece or whatever's kind of loose back up into the hole where it came from. And they're not hubcaps. You know, if somebody's got hubcaps, you can hammer on the hubcaps with a rubber hammer, and you're not going to dent the hubcaps up, or at least not as badly as you would
Well, I'll
if
tell you
you.
something I used mine on not too long ago was I had pulled into a parking spot in my little red car. I'm sure you're familiar with that car.
Right, right,
But anyway, you know how sometimes in a parking space they'll put a little curb kind of down there hidden. You can't really see those
right,
little
right,
curbs.
right.
And it just happened to catch up under my car, and it pulled the whole front panel almost off.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so I had to get home, and there's still a part that's loose because one of the pieces of plastic broke. But I used my rubber hammer, and I beat my front panel all the way back on.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, without doing too much damage.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't do any damage. I didn't put a
Yeah,
dent on it.
and you can also that's a good point. And also, if you can get into a small fender bender, and you got
Mhm.
to the you got to drive your car home, or you feel like you do after you've taken the insurance information from whoever hit you or whoever you hit,
Yeah.
and you can but let's say they just bent a little bit of the metal around
Yes.
your fender in where it's touching the tire. You can grab that rubber hammer and pull back a little and really wail on
Yeah.
that
It's
piece
great
of
for camping
fender.
too, because I always carry one camping for knocking
Right.
mistakes in real easy.
Yeah, and it won't damage the
Fans on.
fender
Yeah.
any more than it's already been
Yeah.
damaged, and certainly any other kind of hammer will just mess it up big time.
Yeah.
Or even if you hook it with something and pull on it, but you don't want to really be pulling on things because what if the whole thing lets go and there you
Yeah.
are? But it's handy for a lot of things, and not to say you can't occasionally. You could probably drive a small nail with it if you wanted, but you'll tear it up. And but it's a great tool. It's handy once you have one and you know where to find it. It's really easy, like plumbing. You got to bang a piece of pipe up into position. Well, you don't want to be
Yeah.
hitting a pipe with a metal hammer. Uh, you bang this thing, bang the pipe up into position. It needs to be tightened up a little bit, and you can give it a wrap or two. It's just a really great, handy tool for the everyday person. You don't have to be a mechanic, and I'm certainly not a mechanic
Yeah.
to have use. But I like to have the right tool for when something's good. Is that a boomer thing? Do you think having the right tool for things is that?
I guess it could be. I mean, I'm kind of a bad judge because I kind of have to have tools because that's what I do.
Right, right. That's true. That's true.
You know,
All
my
right.
my, my 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 truck is my toolbox. Almost all my tools are in the back seat of my truck.
Keep them locked up. Hey,
Yeah,
what have you got? What's your next tool?
this one's kind of interesting. It's not expensive either, and it's probably one nobody really knows anything about. But this is for caulking. I'm
Okay,
sure you've
sure.
had to caulk something like a tub or around a toilet,
I was going to
something
say a
like that
paint
at some
scraper.
point.
Yeah.
And it's only about, I think they're only maybe $3 or $4 or $5.
Mhm.
Okay. So see this right here. This is for stripping old caulk off.
Right.
And here's the important part here. This is for putting it in. Like if you see what somebody doing it professionally, it's always razor sharp. You go, man, how'd they do that?
Yeah.
That's how they did that. You just put the caulk. Well, number one, I can almost get it straight down because I do that kind of stuff all the time, just out of the tube. But then I get it perfect by running that over it and then scraping up the excess same way. But it's got that good perfect angle for doing that.
Well, there are
That's
plenty
all
of
it does.
YouTube
Scraping
videos.
it out and putting it down. And of course, a wet sponge helps too, clean it up.
Right. Well, there are plenty of YouTube videos showing you how to do it.
Very interesting tool.
Hey, and
you've probably seen it. I got this one at Walmart. I mean,
well, I think everybody ought to be able to caulk. It's easy.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun. And you'll also need a caulk gun at some point. But how much would you say a caulk? $12-15 for a caulk gun?
Yeah, maybe. I never use them.
If that, yeah.
I literally never use them. And I'll tell you why I never do is because most of the time I'm doing stuff like caulking in a real tight spot.
Oh, right.
So I prefer to get those little tubes that are about that size of caulk.
Right.
Because, that's about all you're going to use anyway. That's going to go a pretty long way. And you can get that, and it's a lot easier, to reach around and do it all the way around the toilet than you don't want to be getting behind the toilet trying to do this.
Right. The thing I think people need to know about caulking is it's great if you can make it neat with a tool like that. Mm-hmm. But even if you are kind of sloppy, if you just need to get the job done, you can still get the job done when you're caulking. A sloppy job or a neat job, neat preferred, but sloppy will still get it done if what you really need is to stop some water from running under something or anything like that. Okay, I got a tool here, Ron, that a lot of people, it's almost a must in your car for an emergency situation. And I'm thinking about flat tires. And I have said on this show and other times, you're better off not changing the flat yourself. You're better off calling a professional and letting them do it because you can really get hurt changing a tire. And particularly if you
don't know what you're doing,
and sometimes even if you're on unsteady ground or the ground gives way or so, but you might have to do it sometime. And or even if you aren't doing it yourself, maybe the guy from AAA shows up, but there's something messed up. Somebody's cross-threaded a lug on your tire or something like that.
Yeah.
This is, and they don't have to be this long, although I like this one. This is what I use as a cheater pipe.
Yeah.
For my lug wrench when I'm taking tires off the car, because what this is, I didn't even buy this. I guess I did because it was part of something else. This is a tube from a canister vacuum cleaner, the old-fashioned canister vacuum cleaners. But you can make a cheater pipe out of, probably take PVC pipe and wrap it up with some electrical tape, something like that. So if it does shatter, it doesn't splinter into your hands. And it doesn't have to be this long. This is about 3 feet long, or maybe a little longer than that. But probably 2 feet, something along those lines. And you just slip it over the end of the wrench you're using to get the lug nut off on the car, or anything else that's too hard to get to get loose. And you just it gives you that leverage, and you can pull it down instead of having to stand on the wrench like you would if you're taking a tire off of a car. And this is easy to keep in the car. You take a couple of bungee cords and hang it up on the top of your trunk if you're in a car. Of course, the truck, you just throw it over in the back. But you just hang this thing up. You hold it there and take a couple of bungee cords and keep it strapped up against the top of your trunk. And then when you need it, you've got it. And even if you don't need it, somebody else could need it. You have to have a friend or a neighbor, and you know right where to get the thing, and it's handy.
Everybody keeps strung like bull.
Oh yeah, this leverage, or anything else you're trying to do where you can't quite get something loose, like maybe your shut off valve for your water out on the street, and you just can't get it to go. Just slip this over and give it a good push, and it'll probably take care of it for you. All right, next one. What do you got?
All right, save the biggest one for last, but I use this one a lot.
Oh yeah.
My Drell, baby. Always Always have 2 batteries handy. Always have my charger. Change out. And I have tons. This is just one of my,
Wouldn't you
where I
say?
got different heads and everything, and
Wouldn't you say
you
that's
can drill, of course, and
a lot of people?
there's
That's the
different
only power
drivers.
tool. That's
You
probably the
know,
only power tool they have. Wouldn't you say?
what's that?
A lot of folks, that's the only power tool they have, or it's the first power
Yeah,
tool they have is a
yeah.
drill.
I have that. I have a saw. And I have a what is it? I can't remember the name of it. This I have right now. I have a blade for cutting drywall on it. But
On the
I
drill.
have to cut into walls a lot. So
Well, also you can take a little buffer attachment and use it to buff
yeah,
things down, buff down
yeah,
paint, or just buff a car you just waxed if you know
yeah,
how to use it. It's got a lot of, and that's
yeah.
why so many people buy 'em. And by the way, if you don't have whatever $80 for a good drill, $90 for a good drill, you think something like that. If you don't have that kind of money, you can just get a straight up electrical drill and buy an
Yeah.
extension cord, like pretty cheap. And if you think
Yeah.
most of the drilling you're going to be doing is actually around your
The
house,
batteries and stuff cost you more than anything else.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Just skip the
Like I said,
battery
I have 2, and
Yeah,
that one's pretty much full. It's
yeah, and
got three bars.
well, and it also opens up a lot of projects that you can do that maybe you've been turning your back on because the direction say the main instrument you need for this is a good drill, and you go, well, I don't have a good drill. Heck, I can't do that. And then get a good drill, and you can do it. That's going to be the thing that's going to cost you a little money, but
Yeah.
so far we've mostly been doing cheap things. But any other drill comments you have?
Not really my drill. It just, it is what it is. It's a Ryobi. It's been used a lot, as you can see.
Right.
Like I said, it's pretty beat up because I use it all the time.
I saved my best one for last too. This, Ron, I think I've mentioned this before, but this is my favorite tool that I've gotten in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's needle nose pliers, locking needle nose pliers. This pair is by Milwaukee, so these cost a little.
Milwaukee makes great tools.
Oh yeah, it's I think $25 or something. But if you're gonna, in my opinion, if you're looking for something, there you go. If you're looking for something to stick in your glove compartment, maybe you don't like carrying a lot of expensive tools in your car, or you don't have room. I don't know, or you just starting a tool collection. I'd start with this.
Yeah,
I would start as a basic tool because anything you can use pliers for, you can use this for. But because it's needle nosed, you can get it in to tighter places than you can a regular pair of pliers. And because they're locking, you can use it as you don't really want to use it as a wrench. By the way, it's got an adjustment down here so you can the distance between the two ends or further apart. But this size right here, you can fit it around a nut of about any kind and lock it down, and you can probably get that thing off. Now, you don't want to be using this all the time to get loosen nuts. You want to use the right size wrench, really. But if you're in a tight place out in the middle of nowhere and you need to, your car won't crank, and you look up under the car and you realize, oh my gosh, my battery is I don't think it's making contact. It's got so much corrosion around it. I think that's why the car's not cranking. And you need to take that the end off the battery. You need to disconnect your battery and get to all that corrosion. You can use this and do it. You can loosen that nut and get the battery end off and clean it up, because you can do that with a Coca-Cola. You can clean up the end of a battery, a contact point on a battery with a little Coca-Cola, or just a little spit on your finger and rub, or in a cloth and a little water and just rub it down and clean it off enough. And I've done this, and you tighten it back up and the car cranks. And it just, you just haven't looked at the battery in a while. You just didn't think to do it, and the thing's all corroded. And this is handy. This is handy for a lot of things. Hey, and Ron, need a quick self-defense tool that doesn't look too insidious in case you get stopped by the police. You grab this thing, stick it in your back pocket. You can innocently say, "Oh, sorry, officer, I forgot I had a locking needle nose plier." No police officer is going to think anything. They're not going to take you in for having a weapon. But you know what? You put this in your hand and you need to punch somebody or punch somebody in the gut. You set that thing down to lock, punch them in the gut, lock that thing down. I think you've won the fight.
Well, I'm going to have to break the rule here, and I wasn't going to, but I had to go to work today for a little while, so I'm literally wearing it.
What do you wear?
I wear it almost every day, and that's
can't believe you broke the
rule. I feel like Batman.
Your utility belt?
My multi-tool. that has needle nose on it. You made me think of it.
Yeah.
And talk about carrying around a weapon.
Yeah. Needle nose pliers.
Needle nose weapon.
Very handy.
Yeah.
Very handy. And
now these, I really like these because this has an extra little bonus that most multi-tools don't have. Down in my little scabbard there. See, I had these. If you can see these. See, all I got to do is pull this out. Then I've got screwdriver.
Right.
I have a flathead, Phillips head, star wrench, and a tiny type like you would use to those little bitty screws on a
like a battery box or
towel rack or toilet paper roll rack.
Sure. Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, that's perfect for those. Yeah, that was my little bonus too. Like I said, I just happened to have it on me because I had to go to work today. So.
Oh no, it's just like an addendum to the needle nose locking pliers that I have. The only difference
that's what I use for needle nose because I literally have them on me, so I don't even carry them here.
And the locking pliers are a little better for, like we were saying, lug nuts and things, because, or not necessarily lug nuts, but nuts of any kind, because they can lock down on them and you can get them a little squeeze, and they're pretty much not going anywhere. And I've read somewhere or saw somebody's video not too long ago, and the guy was making a big deal out of using locking pliers to take a nut off. And so you might kind of round the ends of the nut off. Number one, no, you won't. If you lock it down right and you do it properly, it's locking on. It's not slipping at all. But number two, even if you do, if you got to get that thing off there, you got to get that thing off there. And I don't think anybody is going to buy you a used car and look at one of the nuts and go, "Oh, you rounded that off a little bit. I don't think I'm going to buy this car." If they ever notice it, I think they'll just go, whatever. Guy rounded it off. There's a million ways to get a nut off that's been rounded off. So anyway, but these locking needle nose are a great way to get off something that's been rounded, and there's no wrench that quite fits it. So, you make a problem, but you solve a problem at the same time. All right, so that's all your tools today. So 4 tools and 4.5 from you, I guess, and so we're a total of 8 tools, and all of these are practical, and most of them are cheap, and all of them are affordable if you just want to save up for a day or two or a week or two. And I think a good place to start. I think if you take these tools we mentioned today, you're on your way to having the things you need when something goes wrong without having to run out to the store. And of course, the way I got all this stuff, and you did too, and this is what I recommend: when you need it, go buy it.
Yeah.
And then wait till you need it again, because you really don't want to buy a tool that you're never going to need. But if you need it at the moment, you can figure out what it is you need. Go out to a hardware store and purchase that tool, and you'll build up over time. We'd all like to think we like to think we're going to live forever, but we don't live like we're going to live forever. But you buy one tool a month, and when you think you're never going to get to 50, you get to 50, and you got like 3 toolboxes with some very useful stuff in it. And we'll talk about tools again. We'll revisit this.
Oh, yeah, we need to.
Fairly soon. What do you got for Song of the Week?
I have a tool song, If I Had a Hammer.
There we go. Now, which version are you using?
Well, okay, I was going to tell you which version. I was going to tell you a little bit about it. It was written in 1949 by Pete Seeger and Lee. Can't read that. I wrote that a little too badly. But anyway, and it was first recorded by the Weavers, which I've never heard of. But the most famous version is probably Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Peter, Paul, and Mary. Did I ever tell you I met Mary
Travers in 1963, but then in 62, this next year, what was it? Trini Lopez got to number 3 with his version.
I remember Trini. I remember both those.
But my favorite one, because it just makes me laugh, is the 1968 version by Leonard Nimoy.
Oh no!
If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning. He's so bad.
You, you think he just picked? He probably just picked it because he liked it. He probably that may be the only tool he
talked
had.
him and Shatner into making albums, man.
Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking about what's that old saying? If you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how Leonard Nimoy was. Hey, I've got one. It's a Tool song as well, except it's about somebody who used a tool.
Yeah.
Big Bad John,
Great.
Pickaxe.
I love that one.
Yeah, Jimmy Dean. Yeah, that's one of the great songs of all time, I think. And Jimmy Dean sang it in 1961. He wrote it. He also wrote it.
Yeah.
It was number one in the country for 5 weeks. Jimmy Dean won the Grammy for the best country and western. That's how they called it back.
Yeah.
What they called it back then. Vocal performance,
Mm-hmm.
and it was nominated for Song of the Year. And it had that kind of Elvira vibe, the Elvira, because it had that deep part.
Yeah.
Big Bad John.
Big Bad John.
Yeah, and Jimmy Dean could hit the low notes and kind of get up to the high notes too. And of course, it was about a man who worked for the railroad, digging tunnels for the rail trains to go through, and he used a pickaxe to do that. And then they had was it tunnel for the railroad?
No, it was a mine.
Coal mine, right? Working in a coal mine, and he got in there. He was the strongest man they had, and the best man with a pickaxe, and he could tunnel out better than anybody. And then they had
At the bottom of this mine lies a big man. Big John.
I think we can end with that, Ron.
Yeah.